The Marlins sweep the Yankees for the first time ever. Jacob Mizorowski is scratched and added to the injured list. And did the Texas Rangers miss out on a massive opportunity with their ace on the mound? We'll be getting to all of it on Locked On MLB Game Night.
When that final out is made, you know it's time for Locked On MLB Game Night. All the post-game reactions to every game across the league, every single night, with insights only the hosts at Locked On can provide. Prepare to experience game day reactions like never before. Only on Locked On MLB Game Night. Your team every day.
Welcome to MLB Game Night, every game, every night. I'm your Sunday night host, Brian McCann, alongside my partner, Locked On Braves podcast host, Lindsey Crosby. Lindsey, how's it going?
I'm excited to be here. Listen, Sundays are always a fun day because every game, except for one, is during the day. You get plenty of time to watch baseball, and you focus on one game at the end of the day.
Exactly. While baseball is king before football gets going. Coming up on today's show, Julio Rodriguez became the first 2020 player in each of his first 4 seasons in the big leagues. Plus, the Speedway Classic was fun, but awfully mismanaged by baseball. We'll get Lindsey's opinion on that coming up. But before I get into all of that, 5-Hour Energy, our sponsor today. This episode is brought to you by 5-Hour Energy Transfusion. Go to 5hourenergy.com today and use my promo code LOCKEDONGOLF to receive 20% off your first order. Only valid through September 30th. Order transfusion flavored 5-Hour Energy shots today. So, Lindsey, we'll start off with Rangers at the Mariners. This was a massive series, and I mentioned it earlier. The Rangers had a really opportunity to get back into the standings here and get really even with the Mariners, and quite frankly, they missed out on it. Let's hear from Locked On Mariners host Ty Dane Gonzalez on it.
Like I said the other night, no free outs. This is Ty Dane Gonzalez, host of the Locked On Mariners podcast here. This Mariners lineup in a 5-4 victory over the Texas Rangers this afternoon once again proved its depth because they got nothing out of Eugenio Suarez and Josh Naylor this afternoon. Cal Raleigh had another rough day at the plate. Did have a big walk to set up Julio Rodriguez's 2-run home run, but couple more strikeouts for Cal. He now has 7 in his last 2 games. You get the point. But it just feels like with all the dudes that they have in this lineup, 1 through 9, that eventually 1 or 2 of them are going to be able to break through, even against the Jacob deGroms of the world. And that is exactly what happened today. Again, Julio with a 2-run shot, Jorge Polanco with a solo blast, J.P. Crawford with his second 2-run home run of this series. That proves to be the difference in this one. And the Mariners get themselves a huge, huge series victory over the team that is directly on their tail in the wild card chase. And now they have a couple of games up on the Texas Rangers. Looking forward to talking to you tomorrow on the Locked On Mariners podcast. See you then. Peace.
This has been really the key for the Mariners, right? The last couple of years, it's been dominant pitching, but they don't seem to score. And even in nights, like he said, where you're not going to get much out of Suarez, you don't get much out of Naylor, lengthening this lineup and expanding on this lineup allows them to get, just 5 runs across, but it's enough to win that game. They're absolutely massive for the Mariners extending that lineup. That's what they needed to do at the deadline, and they did it.
And the big difference feels like the ability to hit for power. Like, yes, Cal Raleigh's having a great year, but going into this season, they haven't been reliably able to get the big hit. They could string together a couple singles or extra base hits and drive a run in, but being able to do a 2-run shot, a 3-run shot, that was always the problem. And they fixed that after the hiring of Kevin Seitzer as the hitting coach. So kudos to Seattle. Curious to see how far they could go in the postseason with that offense in that pitching staff.
Yeah, not a good history in the postseason, so we'll see what happens to them as a franchise. A team that I think will be dominant in the postseason, the Texas Rangers, if they get in because of their pitching staff. Jacob deGrom, not his best start of the year, though. 5 earned over 5 innings, 4 hits, 3 walks, 5 strikeouts. Logan Evans gave you 3 earned over 5 innings, 5 hits, no walks, and 3 Ks. Julio Rodriguez he scored a run in this game, and he actually became the first player to have a 2020 season in his first 4 years, making that contract extension look pretty good. Everyone thought it was a little too early. Looking like a really good contract extension now. Lindsey, Mariners now 2 games above the Rangers in those standings, 2.5 behind the Astros in the West. They'll welcome the White Sox into town, so they get a little bit of a reprieve coming in, and the Rangers will welcome the Yankees into town for what should be an interesting series. I'm going to move over to Twins Guardians. Interesting series here because Minnesota basically just gave up on the season, for quite frankly.
Yeah.
Won this game 5-4, lost the series in 2 out of 3. Let's see what Locked On Guardians co-host Justin Lada had to say.
No joy in Mudville, no walk-off win for the Cleveland Guardians on Sunday. Unable to sweep the Minnesota Twins. Still took 2 out of 3. You'd like to sweep them because of the fire sale they just had, but the Twins played tough all weekend, and the Guardians, they're still kind of playing around in the middle, trying to figure out things going forward. What's up? It's Justin Lada of Locked On Guardians. Guardians were doomed by a 4-run first inning from the Twins. Joey Cantillo just could not settle in the first inning, so that really got them out in front the entire game. He was better after that, but that inning really doomed him in. They were able to get a late comeback. Jose Ramirez did a 2-run home run to cut the lead in half, and then in the 9th inning, CJ Kayfus had his first hit as a major leaguer, a double. The Guardians did get 2 runs in the inning. They tried to make it a little bit closer. Just unable to walk it off. Unfortunately, Kyle Manzardo, a double play with 2 on, and then had a pop-up with 2 on against a lefty middle of the game. So tough day for Manzardo, who's had a good weekend, but the Guardians let him face a lefty and didn't come through. He did on Friday with the walk-off hit, but those are the things you kind of have to do with Manzardo right now to get him better for the future. They have to be doing it. Didn't get a sweep of the Twins, but you still won 2 out of 3. You're still in a good spot. Had a chance to win this game. You'd like a little bit more. We'll cover all that and more from this weekend's action with the Twins on Locked On Guardians. Make sure you subscribe wherever you get podcasts.
Again, like you said, they had the chance to walk it off late there, and they weren't able to. All the runs in this game, if you're a frequent bettor of the no-run first inning bet, you were kind of screwed in this one because a lot of the runs in this game came in the first inning of the game. Twins had 4 runs scored, all on singles, except for a Royce Lewis double early on. The Guardians are going to head to New York. They'll take on the Mets, who just kind of like had a terrible series against the Giants. We'll get to that later. And the Twins will head to Detroit to take on the Tigers, who have been very mid since the All-Star break. We'll move on to Dodgers at the Rays. Interesting series here, Lindsay. I don't know if you realize this. Dodgers won this game 3-0. Every single game that was won in this series by whatever team won in a shutout. How weird is that?
Especially not only to do that, but to do that in Steinbrenner Field, a minor league park that has played very small this year. That's the wildest thing, is that 3 teams got shut out in the 3 games that they played. But I'm just glad the Dodgers could score a run. They really needed something to go their way. They've had such a bad luck of it the last couple seasons. They caught a huge break here in this game. They broke an 18-inning scoreless streak today.
Yeah, crazy stuff. Mookie has not been himself all year, really, for the most part. It is weird. The Dodgers have been riddled by injuries, and there is something kind of like your team, actually, but there is something. This might be odd to say, but something off about this Dodgers team. They're just not quite what they've been the last couple of years. They're good, don't get me wrong, but there isn't that sustained just excellence from years and years past. Do you agree with that, or do you feel a little different?
I feel like they're having some of the stars are struggling. Freeman's not been 100%. Betts, to your point, after losing all that weight early, he's not been the same guy. And because the stars aren't starring, the role players, when they struggle, they can't paper over the holes. Like, it doesn't matter what your 7, 8, and 9 hitters do if Ohtani, Freeman, and Betts are raking up top. But when they're not hitting, and this is a problem I'm all too familiar with the Braves, when those guys aren't hitting, your 7, 8, 9, your Michael Conforto batting 140, it kills you at the bottom of the order. I feel like that's been their problem this year, and I don't really know how you fix it. I do want to mention real quick, on the Rays side, Joe Boyle, 5 scoreless innings. He's at like 70-something pitches. They pull him, and what happens immediately is the Dodgers get on the board. Managers, stop being so cute with your starters when they're dominating.
Yeah, it's the Rays mantra, though, and it's worked for them in the last couple of years, so they're not going to listen to you on that one. I can almost guarantee on there. Yoshinobu Yamamoto, there I am. 5 2/3, 5 hits, no earned, no walks, 6 strikeouts. Pretty good performance out of him. Also, Freddie Freeman, now an 18-game on-base streak there. Pa has singled to drive him in the 6th, and Ohtani doubled to bring in and scored on a bet sack fly in the 9th. That was really all that happened in this game. Dodgers are now 3.5 above the Padres in the West. They'll head home to take on the Cardinals for 3 games. The Rays are also going to head west to take on Anaheim and play the Angels there. And the last game here for this segment here, the Braves at the Reds. This game actually was a Saturday game, but played on Sunday because Major League Baseball is simply incompetent. You saw the weather, and I know you want to do all the festivities and stuff. Why try and play for an inning? Does that make sense? We have radars. This is not 1910. We can see what's coming.
From a player safety perspective, from a quality of the game perspective, it doesn't make sense. From this is a jewel event that's a national broadcast on Fox, and we're trying to make this a capital T thing, you understand why they did it. If this wasn't in Bristol, there's no way that game goes as
True.
long as it does in a rain delay on Saturday before they bang it to Sunday. But
Yeah.
they started it anyway. And honestly, MLB got everything wrong with this. MLB,
Everything.
I mean, the food situation was terrible. Traffic, getting in and out of the ballpark, the sight lines. Everybody who was there says, like, the idea was cool. The execution just didn't work.
100%.
But when you get to the actual game, Atlanta really had to come back from adversity here. They get into the first inning. They give up a run, 1 out, but 2 runners on. When the game gets banged on Saturday, they come into Sunday. They've got prospect Hurston Waldrop on the mound. They drove him up 260 miles from the AAA affiliate on Sunday morning. The
Train wreck.
The Reds guy who was getting called up, the commissioner's private plane flew to pick him up, but Atlanta had to drive their guy. Don't really know how that works. But he goes out there 5 2/3, allows 1 run. Just really kind of Hurston Waldrop stabilizes the whole thing, and they get 2 big home runs from Eli White. Eli White's the only MLB player in history to hit 2 major league home runs in the state of Tennessee. Fun little fact there. He'll always have that.
Yes, and the only player in Major League history to hit a home run in NASCAR stadium. So there is that too. I didn't actually hear about all the logistical issues that happened with this thing. I thought it was more of just so I even feel even worse. I agree
ran
with you.
out of food in the racetrack before the game started on Saturday.
Oh, great work. Great work. Yeah.
And they ran out of beer during the rain delay.
And for a stadium that's normally used to holding well over 100,000 plus for an event, you'd figure that wouldn't be the case, but it was. Again, I think I hear what you said. Great concept. The idea is cute, but the actual, you have to kind of get through with those things. The execution was not there. We'll be discussing a whole bunch on the other side, plus my team, the Yankees, not having a good weekend at all. Time to fuel up and turn it up with 5-Hour Energy Transfusion. It brings the bold grape, ginger, and lime flavor of your favorite golf drink, minus the alcohol, into a quick, energizing shot. Sorry about that. Whether you're sinking birdies or just making memories with friends, this one's a hole-in-one for your energy game. Let's be honest, some days on the course or off of it, you just need that little extra energy boost to stay sharp and energized. And golf is all about the good times with good people and good flavors, of course. The grape ginger lime flavor gives you the best parts of your clubhouse go-to without chasing down the beverage cart. And if you go to 5hourenergy.com today, that's the number 5hourenergy.com today, you can use my promo code LOCKEDONGOLF to receive 20% off your order. This offer is only valid until September 30th on one order and cannot be used with other promotions. The code is not good on subscription orders. Whether you're meeting up with friends, okay, good. My bad, screwed that one up there. Yankees at the Marlins will start the next segment.
Live TV is so much fun.
Yeah, live TV just doesn't have the same hit sometimes when you are trying to read things off of an iPhone. But hey, it happens, right? Yankees at Marlins. Just from a Yankee perspective on my side, pathetic. All about it. Miami wins the game 7-3, coming off of the Yankees a Friday night loss where they score 12 runs and somehow lose and blow the game. They had all of their new bullpen acquisitions go in Friday night's game. Mm-hmm. And still lost the game. They all gave up a run. Yeah. So not good for the Yankees. Luis Gil makes his season debut on Sunday, 3 1/3, 5 innings, 5 hits, 4 walks, 3 Ks, 4 earned. It was just not a good performance at all. This Yankee team doesn't take teams seriously, and they hold themselves to the standard that they are the New York Yankees and everybody else is everybody else. And quite frankly, in years past, you probably could hold yourself to that standard. Not this team. So I don't know why this team does that. Again, Marlins got to heal. The Yankees are going to head to Texas next. They're 4.5 behind Toronto now. They're also a 1.5 games behind Boston. Really not a good spot for this Yankee team. You can hear my all opinions on that on Locked On Yankees if you want to head over there. The Marlins will stay home and welcome the Astros into town. We'll see what happens on that side.
Hide the trash cans.
Hide them a lot because Carlos Correa is back, and I'm sure they're looking forward to using them. We'll stay in New York. Giants at the Mets. San Francisco wins this game 12-4. They win the series 2 out of 3. The Mets swept them the weekend prior. Mm-hmm. So wild stuff on that end. Let's hear from Mets podcast host Chris Schubert on the loss.
Mets fell in the series finale to the San Francisco Giants by a final score of 12-4. And while everybody wants to focus on the offense not following up their 12-run outburst from the day prior, the Mets have potentially a newish problem on their hands. Their starting rotation is setting them up for failure. At the beginning of the season, The knock on this rotation was not giving the team length, the bullpen being asked to do way too much, but the Mets were still winning because the quality from the rotation was still there. They just weren't giving the length. Well, now the Mets aren't getting the length from this rotation, but they're not getting the quality. 7 runs allowed today from Frankie Montas, an ERA north of 6.5 for Frankie this season. Kodai Senga yesterday not pitching his best. His last 3 or 4 starts have not been very good since coming back from the injury. Outside of David Peterson, who gives the Mets both length and quality, it's a lot of stuff up in the air. Sean Manaea is still working back from the injury. He looks to be on a nice path. Clay Holmes continues to hit that wall and has that one blow-up inning. The Mets built a super bullpen at the trade deadline. That super bullpen is only useful if the Mets have a lead. That bullpen is only there to slam the door shut if there is a door to slam. The Mets offense has its fair share of problems. Not consistent enough. Not scoring enough runs for this team to win. But when they are given a starting rotation that gives up leads, gives up big numbers, Mets have a really tough stretch ahead of them. They're going to need their offense to figure it out. They need their bullpen to still be great, but they need these starters to not give them length, just to give them quality.
Yeah, he's right. Said it all there perfectly. Third and fourth innings were huge for the Giants here. 6 runs scored through all of it. Devers hit a 3-run homer and a single in the fourth, Trevor run. And not a good stretch for the Mets coming up. They have a really difficult schedule that they're going into, and the Phillies kind of get easier with theirs. So this could be changing a lot. Mets now have a half-game lead over the they're behind the Phillies by a half game, as I should say. After the Phillies won on Sunday Night Baseball, they're also 1 game up for the 3rd wild card spot. So it's really tight in the National League right there, and scary season if you're a Mets fan, because again, the bullpen's great, but you got to get to that bullpen. You got to let them cook. They're going to stay home for a 3-game set against the Guardians. And Lindsay, the Giants are now 500 on the season. They're going to head to Pittsburgh for a 3-game set. Right now, if I had to ask you, Mets or Phillies, who wins this division?
Oh, it's the Phillies. The rotation's so much better. They reinforce their bullpen with one of the best relievers in the market. And he mentioned the schedule. You mentioned the schedule coming up for the Mets. Guardians at Brewers, Braves, who they have been swept by this year,
Yep.
Mariners, Nationals, Braves again, Phillies, and then the Marlins, who have been a problem. By the end of August, they could be on fumes and out of the wild card. They have a 1-game lead for the second spot in the wild card. They could be out of that by the end of the month.
Good luck for the blue and orange. That's not an easy spot right there. Speaking of the Brewers that you just mentioned, they played the Nationals. Milwaukee wins that game 14-3. They sweep the Nationals. They're an unstoppable force, Milwaukee. They are a very, very good baseball team this year. Let's hear from Locked On Nationals host Ryan Clary on the loss.
For a team that just sold off, you do not want to face the Milwaukee Brewers. And yes, the Washington Nationals got swept by the Brewers, not just this series, but also the season series, and things aren't looking great for the second half. I'm Ryan Clary from Locked On Nationals, and after the Nationals sell off just a few days ago, well, they got swept by the Milwaukee Brewers, scoring nearly 35 runs this series, giving up 60 runs against the Brewers in 6 games this season. The starting pitching today with Brad Lord was not okay. And also, let's just kind of get to the point here. The Nationals bullpen and the starting staff is not a complete product. You saw Brad Lord. He looked okay over the 3 games this series. Again, we've talked about Jake Irvin. We've talked about the struggles of Mitchell Parker. But again, this Nationals team post-trade deadline, it's looking a little gloomy, to say the least. And of course, this is not going to be a fun last 2 months. We might be looking at a 100-loss season for the Washington Nationals. And man, things got to change.
Yeah, he's not wrong. Nationals have not been good, and the Brewers are just a well-oiled machine at this point. I love everything about that team. The only thing that they did suffer today is Jacob Mizorowski will go to the IL. Lindsay, on a scale of 1 to 10, I'm going to need your answer on how painful this sounds. Took a line drive last week off the shin. Has a tibia contusion. Does not sound fun, right? I can tell by your face.
Give me like a 9 on a scale of 10. I mean, maybe getting shots worse, but that might be about it. I mean,
I feel like
lined off the shin's pretty bad.
We've all had that moment when you're a kid and you take a razor scooter off the shin and it's the worst pain ever. We still all remember that.
And that was 100 miles an hour.
No. This is bad. This is a bad, painful moment here. I'm going to run through one more game before.
He actually said, fun fact, he actually said he expected to be out for the minimum and to make his first start back when he came back off the IL without a rehab stint, which blows my... Pro athletes are built different.
Yeah, not like me. I'd be out for 6 months easily, and that's on a positive note. Brewers are going to head to Atlanta to take on your Braves. Nationals are off on Monday. They'll take on the Athletics starting Tuesday. I'm going to run through one more before we hit the break here, Lindsay. Tigers at the Phillies. Really good series. Finished it off on Sunday night. It was a 2-0 Phillies victory. Phillies took 2 out of 3 here. Charlie Morton made his Tigers debut, gave up 1 earned over 6 innings, 4 hits, 1 walk, and 6 strikeouts. Christopher Sanchez had no earned over 8 innings, 5 hits. He could be sneaking his way into that Cy Young contention. I know Zach Wheeler seems to be the guy everyone thinks of, but it really could wind up being Christopher Sanchez with how good and consistent he's been. Max Kepler drove in, had a ground out to drive in the run. It was Castellanos, and then Schwarber, of course, homered late because what else is new?
What I love in this one is they let Sanchez stay in the game. I complained earlier about managers getting too cute. They just let him go, and that was the best decision they could have possibly made. He's
been so good all year, and the two of them at the top of the rotation, you combine that with Ranger Suarez. I mean, they're good starting. It's really scary what they're going to be. Again, they have a half-game lead over the Mets, as we discussed earlier in the NL East. They're going to welcome the Orioles, who have been struggling all year, into town. Tigers still have an 8-game lead, but have not played great out of the All-Star break. They still have an 8-game in the division. They're going to easily win that division. Yeah. They're going to welcome the Twins, who just gave away their entire roster for 3 games. On the other side, we're going to discuss Cardinals at Padres, plus run through the rest of the schedule in Major League Baseball. Today's show is brought to you by FanDuel. Summer sports are in full swing, and whether you're all about baseball under the lights, golf on the green, or high-stakes soccer action, FanDuel is the best way to make every game even more exciting. You're already following the action, so why not make it a little more thrilling? With FanDuel, you can get in on the game with your friends who are also getting sunburnt on the beach. Now, I've been using FanDuel all summer to be tracking all of my bets and my favorite matchups. The app keeps it fresh. There's daily promotions, and there's fun ways to bet. Plus, it's easy to use, there's fast payouts, and it even makes regular season games feel like must-watch events. So whether I'm placing a same-game parlay or watching a bet ride into the 9th inning, FanDuel makes it feel like I'm always a part of the action. Are you new to FanDuel? New customers can bet just $5 and get $150 in bonus bets if your first bet wins. Open the FanDuel app today or visit FanDuel.com/lockedon to get started. So, Lindsay, as I mentioned, Cardinals at the Padres. Padres won this game 7-3. Padres win the series 2-1, and Dylan Cease was dominant after they almost traded him. They were thinking about it. Hasn't had a great year, but had a lot of trade value. Didn't want up trading him. We discussed it. This Padre bullpen, they get a lead, it's lights out. If they're leading the game past the 5th inning, you're done pretty much. This bullpen is so good. Cease went 5 innings, 1 hit, no earned. If he's going to do that the rest of the year, you're in trouble. Also, new outfielder Ramon Laureano goes 2 for 4 with a home run. Cronenworth went 1 for 4 with a home run in this game too. Your opinion on this Padres bullpen? You think they can catch the Dodgers?
I think it's as long as the offense can keep up, right? Like the starting pitching, if everybody's on, Cease pitches like this. Yes, he was an efficient 90 pitches for 5 innings, but that's all you have to do when you have this bullpen. It's the same thing you guys did it at the deadline. Get great relievers, shorten the outing from the starter, go to the pen early. They did it. Adam, perfect. Estrada strikes out the side. Morejon does give up a couple runs. Robert Suarez comes in, locks it down, gets the save. That's the blueprint. And if they can keep doing this and LA can keep struggling, San Diego could potentially catch them like the Giants did a couple seasons ago.
It could happen. The Padres will go to Arizona and take on the Diamondbacks, and the Cardinals will play those same Dodgers. If they could help out the Padres, they'd like to. The Astros will play the Red Sox. Boston won this game 6-1. It was Carlos Correa's return to the Astros in this series, and Alex Bregman returned to play the Astros, I guess, if you want to call it.
Boston won the series against the Astros, I think, since he signed.
There you go. That's a better way to put it. Boston wins the 2 out of 3 in this series. Let's hear from Locked On Red Sox host Gabby and Locked On Astros host we'll get to afterwards in Brett.
Sweep. The Red Sox did a lot of good things in this series, but their new offensive approach worked as they swept the Houston Astros. I'm Gabby Maljanian from Locked On Red Sox, where we just saw the Red Sox sweep the Houston Astros, winning the series finale by a score of 6-1, piling on a bunch of runs in the 4th inning. Why? Because in part due to mistakes by the Astros, because the Red Sox were focusing on putting the ball in play, trying to play small ball, bunting, trying to just make contact with runners on base as opposed to trying to swing for the fences, which was a lot of the problem that they had earlier in the season. What I really liked that I saw from the Red Sox offense today was just lots of little movements and doing the little things right on offense, just trying to make contact with the ball in play, because good things happen when you do. As a result, the Astros got rattled, Framber Valdez got rattled, and the Red Sox are moving and cruising right now after a 3-game sweep coming out of the trade deadline. Tune into Locked On Red Sox for more on this team and a deep dive on any podcast platform.
You know what's crazy, Lindsay, is the fact that all the teams that didn't make big moves at the deadline seem to come out of the deadline playing really well, and all the teams that went for it at the deadline played horrible. They're all getting swept. The Astros made big moves, got swept. The Mariners, the only team that made big moves at the deadline that actually worked and did things. Crazy stuff out of that. We're not going to... The Yankees got swept. Exactly. Framber Valdez, worst start of the season by far. 6 innings, 7 hits, 6 earned, 6 runs, 4 of them earned, 1 walk, 3 Ks. Not good at all for the Astros. We're going to hold it there and not hear from them. Lucas Giolito, 8 innings, 3 hits, 1 earned. Great start for the Red Sox, who now are above the Yankees in that AL East. Red Sox will host the Royals now. They're only 3 games back at Toronto in the AL East, and the Astros are going to go to Miami, as we discussed earlier. Really, really weird spot there. Let's go to Orioles at the Cubs. Chicago Cubs won this game 5-3 in a walk-off. Cubs won the series. They took 2 out of 3. Colin Rea, 4 2/3, 5 hits, 2 earned. This Cubs team could be really good, right? I'm kind of stunned they didn't do much at the All-Star, at the trade deadline. But this Cubs team is not a team you want to play late in the season with all the power they have on their offense.
It feels like starting pitching was the thing that they probably needed to reinforce a little bit more, and they didn't do it. But you get 2 earned runs and 4 2/3 from Colin Rea. You'll take it for the most part. Willie Castro, fun news, has played a different position every time he's played since he came over at the trade deadline. That's a fun little fact for the Cubs there. And then 40-year-old Justin Turner getting the walk-off makes me feel good as a fellow 40-year-old. I feel good that I could still play in Major League Baseball if I wanted to right now.
Kyle Tucker went 2 for 3 in this game. Again, you mentioned Justin Turner with the walk-off 2-run homer. So weird to see him in a Cub uniform now.
It really is.
Some doesn't really fit. Cubs are going to host Cincinnati. Orioles are going to Philadelphia, as we discussed earlier. The White Sox at the Angels. Angels win this game 8-5 after they sold, then bought, then sold the deadline. I don't think the Angels even know what they're doing, to be quite honest with you. They avoided a sweep. They lost the first 2 games to the White Sox. Let's hear from Locked On White Sox host Todd Welter on this one.
Well, I've been saying this season wins and losses don't matter, but man, it would have been nice to have swept the LA Angels. Hello, I'm Todd Welter, host of Locked On White Sox, and the White Sox lost to the Angels 8-5. Sox blew a 5-1 lead. Mike Vasil, he's got a great ERA, but his FIP indicates that he's been getting a little bit of luck, and that luck ran out on him as he gives up 5 runs, and then the Angels walk it off in the 9th. But still, Colson Montgomery continues to impress, had a home run, drove in another run, and that's where the hope is, this young core. And yeah, sometimes they're going to stumble like what happened to Mike Vasil, but other times they're going to impress. So that's why we're just enjoying the ride.
What a positive outlook on the White Sox. Love what I heard there.
You got to have it at this point. There's nothing else you could do but that.
You're so right. Zach Neto gave him 3 RBIs in this game. Taylor Ward went 2 for 5 with 4 RBIs. White Sox will head to Seattle, take on the Mariners. Angels are going to stay home and welcome in the Rays. Diamondbacks at the Athletics. Arizona wins this game 6-4. Diamondbacks get the sweep in this game. Again, sold off and swept the team. I don't understand at all. Eduardo Rodriguez, 5 innings, 6 hits, 2 earned, 3 walks, and 5 Ks. Went with a bullpen game here. Jack Perkins started off 3 innings, 5 hits, 4 earned, 2 walks, 4 Ks. Just a series between 2 teams who's are just riding it out and hitting the golf courses at this point, right? Not really in the standings. Diamondbacks, I think, sold off, but did well for themselves, actually. They'll be back next year. I would say that for sure. And just a little note on the Athletics afterwards. I absolutely love the trade that they got for Mason Miller. To get the number 3 prospect in all of baseball. Starters are so back and closers are so back and forth year after year. I think that was the perfect trade to make, honestly, Lindsay.
It was incredible. Both these teams did really well in their trades. And the big thing is, like, for Arizona, Blaze Alexander was the guy who got Eugenio Suarez's third base spot. He goes 2 for 5 with a homer and 2 RBI today. Like, they created playing time for young players that can make them better. It was both these teams ace the trade deadline as much as you can when you're a seller.
They got the number 3 prospect in all of baseball, the Athletics. I can't wait to watch him play in Vegas in a few years. Arizona's going to host the Padres next. The Athletics are off on Monday, but they'll play the Nationals on Tuesday. That should be a fun series to watch there. 2 teams that give up a lot of runs. Royals at the Blue Jays. Kansas City wins the game 7-4 in 10 innings, scoring 3 runs late. Really helped up the Yankees in this spot. The Blue Jays getting another loss. Kansas City wins the series 2 out of 3. The Orioles have kind of had a market correction. Really, since they played super, super hot in May, June, parts of July, and have really, really cooled off. It does feel like a little bit of a market correction. It's kind of the point I made with the Yankees earlier is it would be nice if the Yankees could take advantage of that market correction, but not really happening there. Seth Lugo, who just got a nice juicy fat extension, went 4 2/3, 4 hits, 2 earned, 4 walks, 3 Ks. Not his best performance, but it really is a staple in that Kansas City rotation. Are you surprised they didn't trade him?
Given the fact that they wanted to, they actually end up buying and want to contend, I guess it makes sense. That division's so weak. If they could get better performance from their corner outfielders and maybe a little better bullpen, you could see them contending for the division next year. So I get it. I probably would have wanted to sell. I don't know if he can sustain it for a 3rd year, but we'll see what he can do. Flip side, I'm surprised Toronto didn't buy more relievers. Bassett allowed 1 earned run in 6, and they lose, and they gave up 7 total runs because the bullpen wasn't there. I'm surprised they didn't go out and get more pieces like your Yankees did, like the Phillies did, like the Padres did. All of the contenders got relievers, but the Blue Jays.
It doesn't make any sense to me. I don't know what they were doing there. I like it, but I don't get it. Kyle Isbell in this game, 2 for 4 with a run and RBI from the number 9 spot in the order, which is impressive. Like you said, Chris Bassett, 6 innings, 1 hit, 1 hit and 1 run actually.
It was a solo shot, I think, if I remember right.
Yeah. The Royals will go to the Red Sox. Take them on at Fenway. Blue Jays are going to go to the Rockies, so they're going to get a little bit of a respite there. And to close it out and mention those Colorado Rockies, Pirates at Rockies. Woof. What a series. 9-5 Pirates get the victory. Rockies win this series. Mitch Keller goes 5 innings, 7 hit ball, 5 earned, 1 walk, 4 Ks. Gave up 3 homers in this game. So really not what you wanted of Mitch Keller, who could have been a trade piece, and they just didn't decide to move him for whatever reason. And then Bradley Blaylock goes 5 2/3, 6 hits, 7 earned, 4 walks, 2 Ks. Feels like a very Rockies score line right there.
Yeah.
Just a crazy game and a crazy team.
These 2 teams combined for 18 hits, 8 of those for extra bases. Nick Gonzalez of the Pirates, though, could be a potential piece going forward. 4 for 5, double run, RBI. They could get a couple more pieces like him that can do days like that. You can see the Pirates offense catching up to where the pitching staff is.
Tons of fun to watch, especially those teams. Pittsburgh's going to host San Francisco next, who just got to back to 500, as we discussed earlier. The Rockies are going to host those Toronto Blue Jays, as we discussed. So thank you for joining us here on Locked On MLB Game Night. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to all of our episodes. We hope you'll come back and visit us next time on Locked On MLB Game Night. Every game, every night.